Reverend Guecko here at the beautiful Stock Island Village Marina. I've got a great special guest. If any of you are libertarians or are involved in the politics of government at all, then you must know this man's name, Mr. Adrian Wyllie. Welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me. Great to be here.
So you're down in Key West, and you're enjoying it so far?
Yeah, anytime I can make it down to the Keys, and specifically Key West, we take every opportunity we can because I'm just sad I don't have more time to stay in town and enjoy it.
Yeah, well, you're on the campaign trail, so to speak, right?
Yeah, a little busy right now. We're hitting a lot of stops throughout Southeast Florida before heading up to Jacksonville in the next few days. So we're going from Pensacola to Key West and all points in between.
Now, when did you throw your hat in the rings?
Officially, it was in January of 2013, so we've been on the campaign trail for a long time, much longer than Rick Scott and Charlie Crist have. So
you're pretty sure it's time for a new governor in the state of Florida?
Oh, yeah. Really, what choice do we have? We've got two big government Republicans, one current Republican governor and one former Republican governor, and there's not a dime's worth of difference between these guys. We need someone who's going to stand up for Floridians' economic freedom, their individual liberty, and someone who's going to say, let's get government out of our wallets, out of our bedroom, and out of our business, and that's what I intend to do.
I totally agree. Tell us about the Libertarian Party. They've been around for quite some time.
Yeah, established in 1971, and of late we've really been making a big push to be a competitive party. We're really working our way up to being on a level playing field with the Republicans and Democrats. We've still got a long way to go, but we've made some amazing inroads, and we are the third largest party in America. We are the fastest growing party in America, and I think the reason that is most Americans identify with the libertarian principle, and that's people should be free to live their lives as they see fit without interference from government, so long as they're not harming anyone else. And that is the basic libertarian philosophy. It's what we all learned in kindergarten. It's the golden rule. And, government hasn't applied that philosophy for a long time. Government is taking from us financially, they're destroying our economy, they're taking away our civil liberties, they're spying on us at every turn, and that's not what this country is all about. We need to get back to the fundamentals of, just freedom in this country, and that's where the Libertarian Party stands, and I think more and more Americans are identifying with that message.
And you're the perfect representation of that.
Well, thank you.
You grew up in Florida. You grew up in Clearwater, Florida, and you, like you said, you grew up on the water. Here we are at a beautiful marina looking out over the ocean, and that's where you feel most at home, probably.
Yeah, I really do. This is like coming home for me. But it's funny. I'm a third-generation native Floridian. I identify with myself as a Floridian first. I really do. I've always had just a great amount of pride in my state. There's nowhere I'd rather be. I was born here. I want to be buried here. And there's just something magical about this state. And the neat thing about this state is you travel all the corners of it. It's so different from one end to the other. I mean, Central Florida has a completely different vibe, a completely different feel. North Florida is, a lot like the old South, and there's so many different types of people in Florida, so many different cultures. It's really phenomenal that it all works together so well. But I really do believe that the underlying philosophy for so many people is that government is too big. Government is taking away from that. It's making our lives worse instead of doing what it's supposed to and just protecting our lives, liberty, and property. So that really does seem to be a common thread, at least among the Floridians that I'm talking to on the campaign trail.
I believe you. Okay, we'll be right back with Adrian Wyllie, candidate for Florida Governor 2014. Reverend Guecko here on the X104.9 Key West. We're continuing our interview with Mr. Adrian Wyllie. How you doing, sir?
Doing wonderful, and just really enjoying the view and the weather here today. It's just gorgeous.
At the beautiful Stock Island Village Marina. It's going to be an amazing place out here. We're cleaning up Stock Island, like I say. You've got plans for the state of Florida, and you're not only. Let's get past the campaign.
Sure.
You've won. You're the governor of Florida. What are you going to do?
Well, the first thing I have to do is, I'm going to have to work with a legislature that's going to hate me, because I spend a lot of time in Tallahassee, and I can tell you that the cronyism up there, the good old boy network, the one hand washes the other mentality is rampant. And there's a lot of people up there who are personally profiting from their role in government. So I'm going to have a lot of opposition, but there's a lot of things that the governor can do. And one of the most powerful tools that the governor has is the veto. I have 4 criteria for any bill that reaches my desk. Is it constitutional? Does it solve the root cause of the problem? Is it a necessary or proper role of government? And can we afford it? And if it fails any of those criteria, the bill gets vetoed. So I think the legislature is going to be, at first very hesitant to work with me, but after I start vetoing all their bills, which never do the people of Florida any good anyway, they'll be more ready to work with me. And from there, we can start implementing our economic policy. We can begin working on some of the social issues, such as legalization of marijuana, for example. Right now, there's a big push for medical marijuana, which I think is wonderful, but I don't think that goes far enough. I support full legalization of marijuana, much like Colorado and Washington have already done. I don't believe the government that has the authority to tell you what you can or can't put into your body.
And it's kind of a ridiculous law that's been around for a long, long time, the anti-marijuana laws. And also, in Key West, the city council voted to, what's it called? The proposed amendment number 2. They're in full support of it. So when that becomes law in November, Key West is on the forefront of that. We also have the guys from Normal come do their convention every year here. St. Pierre and them, they come down and they love Key West, and they said this is most like where we feel marijuana laws don't exist.
Exactly.
Especially at their parties.
Yeah, and that's just an issue, regardless of whether you smoke marijuana, you don't smoke marijuana. When you step back and look at it from an economic standpoint, from a freedom standpoint, from a crime standpoint, you have to remember that the only time in our nation's history when we had people killing each other in the streets over alcohol is when it was prohibited. So the actual making something illegal like that creates drug lords, creates gangs, creates the violence, and ends up in a whole lot of people being incarcerated for something that is not harming anyone else. So that's a philosophy.
And clogging up our jails as well, and the legal system in general.
Yeah, and the cost is estimated nationwide between state, local, and federal funding on the war on drugs at $1 trillion. Not to mention we're losing all of our civil liberties over it because now law enforcement can search your vehicle if they suspect drugs of any kind. They can do no-knock warrants. They justify so much of the surveillance that they do on the people in the war on drugs. So we really need to get back to the idea that people should be free and government should be limited.
And not to mention taxation on legal marijuana would bring revenue into the state where they're spending money to make it illegal.
Yeah, exactly. And instead of costing us money, it will be making the state money, and also it will eliminate all the people who are now unproductive because they're sitting in prison for simple possession.
Exactly. I agree. And the Libertarian Party, as far as I've known, since the 80s, that's one of their platforms, is that this is ridiculous.
Yeah, and one of the things is though that is an important issue to the Libertarian Party, there's also a lot of other issues. Sometimes the Libertarian Party, they're the pot party, but it's just one issue of many. For example, I have a comprehensive economic plan, and we're going to cut 30% out of the state budget, but we're only going to be cutting the waste, the fraud, the corruption, the inefficiency, the redundancy. And there is so much up there, and I kind of referenced it before. You go up there and you start looking into what Tallahassee's doing, what the legislature's doing. All of a sudden you see this huge contract and you start tracing it back. You follow the money and it turns out, it's the chair of this particular committee's brother-in-law that's getting that contract. And it was a sweetheart no-bid contract for twice the price that it really cost. Perfect example, Rick Scott. He wants to drug test all state employees. Well, little known fact is that up until very recently, Rick Scott owned one of the largest drug testing companies in the state.
Right.
He no longer owns it. His wife does.
Right.
So, you have this kind of corruption. If you can cut out that kind of corruption, you can save the state of Florida a huge amount of money. We're only talking about, Rick Scott, in his term, he's already raised the state budget by $8 billion. We spend more in Florida, more taxpayer money than Canada, Australia, and Israel spend on defense combined. That's how much of your money we're spending. We need to start cutting that. And when we cut that, we can do amazing things. For example, I'm proposing 100% homestead tax exemption. you pay nothing in property taxes on your primary residence. That right there keeps an average of $1,500 in most Florida families' pockets that they can be spending productively instead of the government spending it on frivolous nothings.
Brilliant plan. All right, we're going to come right back on the X104.9 with Libertarian gubernatorial candidate, Mr. Adrian Wyllie. All right, we just were posed another question. Here we are back on the X104.9 with Adrian Wyllie, the gubernatorial. It's a hard word to say. Where does the B come from in gubernatorial?
You know, I'm not sure of the linguistics of that word, but I'm sure it's somewhere back in Latin or Greek or something like that. But yeah, it doesn't make much sense that it's the position is governor, but when you speak about it in a different tense, it's gubernatorial.
So you're hoping to be the gubernator of the of Florida in 2014. The election's in November. You got a lot of running around to do. We appreciate you being in Key West. We hope you come down on a regular basis to Key West and keep these people informed. And like you said, the cronyism up in Tallahassee must be unbelievable after dozens of years of this existing.
It's got to the point now where the legislators, and I do spend a lot of time in Tallahassee lobbying for good legislation, which is rare, lobbying against a lot of legislation, which is bad. But it's amazing. It's gotten to the point where it's so prevalent, it's so rampant, that they don't even try to hide it anymore. They just kind of snicker about it and joke that's the way it is. Well, that's not the way it should be, and that's not the way the people want it. And until we start electing someone that's outside of that system, and until we start electing people that have the spine to stand up to it, which I intend to do, it's never going to change. So that's one of the key focuses of my campaign. It's one of the primary things I'll be doing if elected. Let's weed out all of the corruption in state government.
You know, I've noticed that in this last couple of elections, let's say even the presidential ones, people are fed up with the two-party system. They're tired of the Democrats and the Republicans doing the exact same thing and then blaming each other about it. That's why it's time for a change. I think it's really, really important that you're running in this race and that you feel so wholeheartedly about what you do believe in. And I'm sure you're going to be the right man for the job.
Well, thank you. And, you know, it's really, when we started this race, we always knew it was a long shot. Now, I would have to say that when, you know, in January of 2013, when we started this race, I would have to say my odds of winning were 100 to 1. Since that time, so many amazing things have happened. I'm polling as high as 16% right now in a three-way race with Rick Scott and Charlie Crist. We have over 1,000 dedicated volunteers working hard. We have some of the key campaign staff from the Ron Paul campaign now on my team. And just yesterday, we got a formal confirmation that I will be included in the televised debate with Rick Scott and Charlie Crist. That's a game changer. This just became a legitimate three-way race, and hopefully the listeners out there would be willing to support the campaign financially, get on board, volunteer, because we've got a real legitimate shot to change that two-party duopoly that we currently have, to get out of the red team, blue team, and really both of them are the same team, and it's us against them, because they're not in it to help us. They're in it to screw us, quite frankly.
Yeah.
So hopefully, I really believe that this election has a chance to change all that, but not without a ton of grassroots support. So that's what we're hoping to gain from the people of the Keys.
All right, let's close with this. How do they get on board to help you do what needs to be done?
Well, probably the best thing to do is go to WylieForGovernor.com. That's WYLLIEFOR governor.com. Click on the Help Adrian button, sign up to be a precinct captain, which is basically just, we give you all the tools you need to talk to your friends and neighbors. You can click the donate button, donate to the campaign. You can donate $10 if you can, if that's all you can do. The individual contribution limit is $3,000. If you have the means, please donate. We'll put it to a good cause. We're not wasting money out here. My entire staff is all volunteer. We do not have one paid staff member, so all of that money goes towards spreading the word and keeping us on the campaign trail.
Beautiful. Sounds like a brilliant plan to me. Well, you just got 1,001, because I'm on your team. All right, let's do this at the end. We do it every time. So, Mr. Almost Governor, what's your favorite radio station in Key West?
I gotta tell you, it's the X 104.9.
Thank you, sir. Have a great day. Enjoy your stay here.